This is sacred unfiltered, where the soul gets heard. Every story, every scar, every unspoken word. We get to the root, we rise from the dirt. Real truths, no agenda, just lessons that work. It's more than a show, it's a mirror. Reflection getting clearer. If it's real, it belongs right here. No fear, just spirit, just hear her. Sacred unfiltered. Say what you feel, don't hide. It's love, it's truth, it's healing time. Where your voice aligns. This is Sacred Unfiltered.
Welcome back to Sacred and Unfiltered. Hi, I'm Genesis, the Rebel PK. I'm also known as your unconventional church girl. Listen, if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Welcome to this safe space. For those of you that are tuning in for not the first time or the second time or the third time, you just tuning in week in and week out. I appreciate you, and you are a part of the SU crew. Thank you so much for tuning in. A few housekeeping things. Make sure that you're following Sacred and Unfiltered on Instagram and TikTok. We're growing our social media community and we want you to be a part of all the things. So behind the scenes content, I want you to be there for the postings for live experiences because we're getting ready to return back to those as well. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you're streaming on any of the podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, all the things, make sure that you follow the show, leave a rate, leave a review so that more people can be a part of the conversation, okay? All right, so let's get to the nitty gritty. Today we're talking about something that most people are afraid to name. A lot of the stuff is stuff that most people are afraid to name, but we're talking about what happens when your spiritual authenticity offends the people that you thought you belonged with, okay? When your faith evolves and the people around you don't, when your heart grows and the community that you love feels threatened, and it hurts. It hurts. It most times forces you to isolate, but it also frees you. So let's get into that. Let's get into how the isolation may be scary, it may be terrifying, but it brings about a sense of clarity. It brings about a sense of freedom that we don't talk about enough. Now, I have lost people, people that I have prayed with, people that I have served with. I thought they were my ride or die church friends. I told them what I believed. I held my boundaries. I honored the whispers of God in my own heart, and I became offensive. The people were offended. So this is not abstract. This is a personal thing. This is personal to me because I remember the exact moment that I realized my authenticity had a price. I was literally mid conversation explaining something that I used to believe, but I just no longer, I can't stand behind it anymore. I wasn't angry, I wasn't rebellious, I was just being honest, and y'all, the air in the room shifted. You know that feeling when the room goes quiet, when people stop listening to you and now they're evaluating you, trying to make sure that you are right mentally. And then you realize, oh, yeah, this is not a safe space. And not because I've sinned, not because I have turned away from God, but it's just because I stopped performing certainty. And when that happens, isolation shows up. So there's silence in text messages. The invitations stop coming. You get the side eyes from people in the sanctuary, and conversations that end abruptly. That's spiritual isolation. That's what it feels like, and it's brutal. And nobody prepares you for it. Authenticity doesn't just cost casual relationship; it costs you core ones. People who only loved you when your faith matched theirs will grieve the version of you that they could control. Now, scripture is not silent on this. John the Baptist, Daniel, even Paul, all were offensive to the status quo. And yeah, Jesus himself, he offended the Pharisees, he offended the religious elite. Hell, he offended some of his closest followers. Jesus did not soften truth to preserve access. He told the truth and he just let the chips fall where they may. So you need to ask yourself, who am I offending by, just refusing to shrink? I refuse to shrink my faith to fit into your comfort. Who are you offending? Now, here's the lie that we believe when we're rejected for being authentic. Okay? Here's the lie. If they're offended, I must have done something. I must have done something wrong. God must be disappointed in me. I must be failing. All of that is a lie. It's a lie. Okay? So let's confront this because most of us were discipled to believe that peace equals approval, that if everybody around us is comfortable, that God must be pleased with us. But the scripture never promised comfort. It promised truth. Rejection does not mean that God is mad at you. Rejection does not mean that your faith is wrong. Rejection means growth outpaced their capacity to understand it. And here's the dangerous part. We start interpreting human discomfort as divine correction. So then we shrink. Yes? We self-edit. We soften our convictions. We stop asking questions out loud, and we choose belonging over obedience. But you got to look at the pattern in the scripture. Daniel was faithful, he was disciplined, he was obedient, and he still offended the king. Esther was chosen, she was strategic, and she still risked rejection. Jesus, the man was sinless, spirit-led, and he still lost followers when the truth got too heavy. So if Jesus could not avoid offense, what in the world makes us think that we can? Sometimes offense is not evidence of error, it's evidence of alignment. So you need to ask yourself this question: where have I confused being liked with being led? Okay? Now, isolation is a dangerous mirror. It's a bad boy. It's a bad boy. It's going to force questions that you cannot outrun. Did I do something wrong? Did I misunderstand God? Am I actually on the right path? Right? So let's not spiritualize this too quickly. I don't want us to do that because isolation hurts. It feels like grief. It feels like losing a home that you never thought that you would outgrow. So I get it. I totally understand. I've sat in that space. I've stared in the ceiling. I replayed all the conversations, wondering if obedience was supposed to feel this lonely. But here's the truth that we avoid. Isolation exposes why you believed what you believed in the first place. Were you faithful because it was true, or because it kept you accepted? Isolation is going to strip away that applause. It's just going to be you and God. No crowd, no validation, no safety net, and it's terrifying. It's terrifying, but it's also clarifying because clarity demands a decision. Will I keep walking even if nobody claps for me? I'm telling you, this is not just me talking to you, I'm talking to myself. So let's take a moment, let's sit, let's pause right here, let's breathe. I told y'all last episodes, nothing wrong with us, we're just being refined. Okay? Now let's sit with the scripture. Let's sit with the scripture real quick. Not as comfort, but as confrontation. All right? Daniel 6 does not glamorize obedience, okay? It shows the cost. Daniel is isolated before he's delivered. Faithfulness puts him alone before it puts him safe. Yes? John 2, it shows Jesus disrupting systems that benefited religious leaders. His anger was not reckless, it was righteous. And righteousness is often offensive to people profiting from the status quo. Okay? Paul in Galatians 1, he refused to dilute the truth to keep the churches comfortable. He wasn't doing that. He risked his influence to preserve integrity. Do you see the pattern here? Do you see the pattern here? Truth isolates before it liberates. So if your faith has never disrupted anything, it just might be because it never confronts anything. Sit with that. Take a minute. Eventually, not immediately, but eventually, isolation gives way to alignment. So now you got new people, new conversations, new spiritual language, communities where you don't have to translate yourself or apologize for growth. But here's the hard part. You cannot rush new belonging without sabotaging it. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but God often removes you from familiar spaces so that you stop confusing history with assignment. Belonging shifts from being chosen by people to being anchored in purpose. So who are you becoming? And what kind of community will actually sustain that version of you? Okay? Now, if this is making you uncomfortable, good. Goody for you. That means that it's touching the truth that you've been avoiding. Authenticity oftentimes offends, and that's not a failure. That's just truth stretching. That's your heart aligning. That's courage growing. So take a moment and reflect. Ask yourself who in your life has been uncomfortable with your growth. Where have you silenced your faith to be accepted? Where is God inviting you to stand anyway? Know this, your voice, your faith, your authenticity, it's all sacred. It's powerful. It is exactly what God is using to shape the places that need it most. Now remember, offense is not a mark against you, it's a signal of alignment. Pain isn't always punishment, and isolation sometimes it's the priesthood of preparation before birth. God honoring belonging, right? Now, before we go, don't leave too fast. I need you to make sure that you're following us on Instagram and TikTok, okay? Be sure that you're following us there. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, okay? We're on the road to 500 followers. So if you haven't taken a moment to subscribe to the channel, be sure that you subscribe, leave a comment, engage with those that are watching. Also, those of you that are streaming on any of the podcast platforms, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, make sure that you follow the show. Make sure that you leave a rate, you leave a review, and share it. Share this platform with those people that you feel will relate to the content that we're pushing out. I am super excited about us leaning into the live experiences that are getting ready to happen. And I'm excited to see you in the building. I know y'all get to see me, but now I get to see you, and I hope that you can make it in the room. I definitely have to give a shout out to our season 2 sponsor, Nice Crown, and of course the Plug Network for powering this show. Until next time, stay sacred, stay unfiltered.